Man, do you hear that? Look at here. They're coming. They're coming. We're going to have a party. I'm talking good on barbecue. Hello and welcome to the Old Boy Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. My guest today is Lexi Abreu. You know her as Lexi the Electrician on social media. So happy to have her. Lexi, how's it going today?
Good, Chad. How are you?
I am doing well, and so happy to talk and learn a little bit about your journey and where you came from and where we're going. So kind of wanted to start off with just a little bit of background. I know you're 27 years old from New York. Is that more upstate New York?
Yeah, so I'm kind of near like West Point, if you're familiar with the area. I'm not like too crazy high up, but I'm not in the city either.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty familiar with West Point. I actually applied and got accepted there, just decided not to go. But yeah, I got to visit the area a couple of times. It's a really, really cool spot. I love it up there. And I think, and I'm sure you get this all the time, especially when you travel. Like I used to, back in another life, I bought produce for Publix, and there's a lot of cabbage up in the upstate New York area. And I remember the first time going up there, I was kind of like everybody else. Like you hear New York and everybody thinks Manhattan, New York City, and upstate New York's like as old boy and, you know, as it can be. You know, they're up north, but it's super southernish too. It's what I kind of felt when I visited up there.
Yeah, we're about like an hour from the city, and we're on the Hudson River, and it's beautiful here. And I like the farmland that we have here. I'm not really a city person.
I love it. That's right down my alley too. So I can appreciate that. And now, is that where you grew up, that area?
Yeah, so I grew up like a little bit further up from here, probably like an hour from where I live now, but I've been here my whole life, and yeah, I love it here.
That is awesome. So did you grow up in the trades, or how did you kind of, you know, get introduced to, you know, electrical work and just trades in general?
So people ask me this a lot of times on my social media platforms, and you're actually going to be the only one that gets an answer. So hopefully everybody stays tuned. But so my whole family are basically tradesmen. My grandfather is like super outdoorsy. I grew up with him a lot because my parents worked so much like growing up. So I was end up with my grandfather so much. And he kind of was the one who made me like rough and rugged and like boyish. So, but my whole family is electricians, all the men in my family. And so they kind of were the ones that got me started in it. And like from a young age, I was doing like receptacles and switches and stuff like that. But I never like actually wanted to pursue that. I was actually going to college for pre-med. And I did clinicals in a hospital with a bunch of people, and I was like, absolutely not. This is not it for me. And during that time period, I was doing electrical like on the side just for like money through college. And all of a sudden, like one day it just stuck and I just stayed doing it.
You know, the funny part there is too, when I started college, I thought I was going to be pre-med also. And mine wasn't the clinicals. Mine was anatomy and physiology too. And so if that weeded me out, I didn't even need to mess with organic chemistry. That's usually the weed out. But yeah, so that's when you end up getting a finance degree.
Yeah, it's so weird how it happens. You think you're going one way and then all of a sudden you end up somewhere else, right?
And I've done nothing in the finance field. That's the funny part is it's like, and I was just kind of looking for a major, and I was like, you know what? If you can follow the money, you can probably do okay in business. So I'll get a finance degree. So that was my redneck logic behind it. But it is interesting. And I think that's something too about life though, is like, you know, just because you go down a certain path doesn't mean you have to stay on it, right? If you find something that's a passion or a skill or something that just inspires you, I mean, you know, don't turn your back on it.
Yeah, I was all over the place when I was younger. Like I was kind of like that kid that did not know what she wanted to do, and I was just like I was a bartender, a personal trainer, I was pre-med. I was just trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with my life. And then all of a sudden one day I just woke up and I was like, I guess I'm an electrician now.
I love it. And it seems like it's worked out. So around what age was that where you kind of started doing the electrician full time?
So, about 8 or 9 years ago, I actually took it on full time because I moved out of my house at like a really young age. So I always had to stay working even through high school. I mean, and college. So when I was working, that's basically was my main source of income was electrical because trade work is where the money's at. So while I was in college, I continued that. So around 18 or 19, I kind of started to take it seriously. But I still tried to finish out college. I did my associates in pre med and everything like that. But after that, I just was like, I've had enough.
And it's one of those things too. Like I always said I was going to go back and get my master's, and that was, let's see, 25 years ago. Like there was just something about like, I didn't mind school, but like when I could punch that ticket and be done with it, it was like I just did not have the desire to go back. I just enjoyed, I felt like I would rather live and do real life stuff and get that kind of on the job, master's degree instead of just, hearing it out of books more.
Yeah, I can't even sit in school. I fell asleep in so many classes. I have the worst ADHD and I just did was not a school learner. I was very hands-on. So like clinicals for me is where I learned the most when I was
Yeah.
pre-med, but like it just school was not it. My grades were not great. They were like, "What the hell are you doing? We know that you know the information." And I was like, I can't be here. Got to go.
Yeah, I got shit to do. And it's not sit
Yeah,
here.
I got to do hands-on work. I can't do this. This is not for me.
No, absolutely. I love it. And that kind of leads to a point, and you probably see it pretty regularly. And I do too. And I mean, I grew up around the trades too. My grandfather and both uncles were master welders. My dad was a truck driver, so just, I have a concern these days about keeping tradespeople and there being enough folks out there. Is that something you see? And not just an electrician, but plumbing. I mean, there's so many places where it's like I feel like in the '90s and the 2000s, like, and that's where I grew up. But I felt like people were always like, "Oh, if you don't go to college, you're not going to be successful," or this and that. And I'm looking at buddies that came right out of school, took out of high school, took an apprenticeship, and now they're running huge plumbing companies, huge electrician companies, and to me, like I don't know why we're not seeing more people want to go down that road.
Well, it's a lot of work, and this generation right now, a lot of slackers out here.
Man, you said it. I didn't know how to say it at your age, but you said it for me. Thank you,
There
Lexi.
are way too many slackers out here, and I feel like for example, my grandfather has been an electrician for decades. He's still an electrician, and he's still working, and he's in his 60s. And I'm like, Pa, you gotta stop working, man. You're getting too old. And he's like, you're gonna have to put me in the ground on a job site, Lexi. Like it's not. This is not. I'm not letting go of this. But like even like in our own company, it's like very hard to find even good help. Like nobody wants to work, and then when they do want to work, it's just for that paycheck. It's not like they're interested in learning or they're grasping the concept. And there's just too many people that are trying to find like the easy way out. There's a lot of influencers now, and influencing is great, but you got to have something that's keeping you money too, like just in case.
I know. I was watching the Little League World Series last year, and I remember, they always have, hey, my name's Tony Smith. I'm 12 years old from here, and I want to be, whatever. There was like three kids that said, I want to be a social media influencer. I'm like, well, but what are you influencing? Like, what's going to be your point of view? Like, what are you teaching people? What are you showing people? You know what I mean? Like that to me is like the finicky world. And we're going to talk about it. We can even slide over to it a little bit now. It is the social media world. I feel like there's so many good things to come out of it, but then at the same time too, I feel like it's just generated this type of laziness where, oh, I think I can just sit on my phone and make a living. Like, man, there's very few people that can do that.
Yeah, no, it's hard. And even like, say one day social media crashes, like, what do you have? Like, you
Yeah,
don't have like that sort of job. So, like, that's why, like, I tell people always make fun of me in my comments and stuff. They're like, you just sit on your phone all day. I'm like, I don't know how you think that I could be sitting on my phone when it's recording.
yeah.
But social media influencers are good and they're not good because, that's like the way of marketing now. Nobody's watching like live TV. You're watching Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. You're watching what people are doing. And like I said, it's good, but you have to have something that's bringing you that extra income that's stabilizing you and your life. Cause God forbid social media goes down. You still gotta work.
I completely agree with you. Like having that tangible, skill and asset to fall back on is huge, and not just. I mean, and then I mean, something as simple as the algorithm changing. You know what I mean? Like you may have been trending great, and then something happens with the algorithm, and you go down, and that can, and that's totally out of your control. There's nothing you can really do there. I find it interesting. You made the comment of, well, you're always on social media. You can't be working. I guess they've never heard of a tripod.
Oh my goodness. It's not even that. It's like I really have to do a video one day where like I show like a point of view of me like setting up my phone. Like I make it as discreet as possible because it's hard enough being a female on a job site and being taken seriously, but I can't be like sitting there with my like camera like, "Oh my goodness, like I have to like hide it in my work bag. Nobody knows that I'm recording." And like the thing that takes the most time is the editing when you go home. That is the most work. But it has its perks, like I'm here now talking to you, so
No, and that's where like I totally agree with you. Like I don't want to have that wholesale like social media is bad, because there is great. I mean, I've made great friends over it, had great discussions, learned a lot from it. I just think it's one of those that it should be a plus one. Like that shouldn't be the sole focus. The sole focus is to get the work done. If you can capture it, share it with people, educate people, make them laugh, make them cry, whatever the case may be, if you can do that while still taking care of business, I think it's amazing. But if that's just your sole focus is how do I go viral? How do I become something? I think that just at some point is going to fade. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's a
There's
temporary fix.
Yes, for sure. So speaking of the social media, like, so how did you get started? Did you just have like a regular account, or did you always just start with the Lexi the Electrician account, or kind of how, because all of us, I mean, usually have some kind of social media accounts. I held on Facebook for a very long time, but ended up joining. I just got sick of seeing everybody's, oh, my dog died. Facebook to me is like just the bearer of bad news. I
Facebook Facebook is so bad that I actually have my Instagram set up to just post whatever I post on Instagram right to Facebook. So I actually
Yeah.
don't even go on Facebook because yeah, I can't. I have way too many family members on there, random people posting weird things. I just can't. I don't know how Facebook works anymore.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm more of an Instagram person for like business stuff, but I would say I probably, as far as consuming content, probably 85% of my time's on TikTok. They have me figured out. And the other thing is too, being a barbecue person, I when I go to Instagram, because I do so much with Traeger and Whiskey Bin on Instagram, it just feeds me all barbecue stuff. TikTok never feeds me barbecue stuff, so I'm like, okay, for just my enjoyment, relaxing before I go to bed, it's always TikTok.
Yeah, give me some other information, right?
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
I um I started social media maybe 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half ago at this point.
Are you? Well, I don't mean to cut. 18 to 24 months, and you've grown to 700,000 almost followers on Instagram.
I figured out the algorithm.
You damn sure did, girl. Hey,
And I'm not even in a
kudos.
bathing suit or anything.
I know that's crazy.
Yeah,
That
no.
is,
Social media is rough. I did take a few courses in college and high school as like electives for photography and videography. I always was interested in it. But it was always on the back burner. It was kind of like something like, oh, you have to have this many credits, so what are you going to take else? So I was like, all right, let's try this stuff, and it kind of like introduced me to editing and stuff. And I don't know, I wasn't big on TikTok until a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. And I just was scrolling and I noticed like a few people posting trades work and I'm like, I like do this for a living. Why don't I post this stuff? And I like did for a little while and like 6 months went by and I like was not getting any traction. And then all of a sudden, there was this one dumb video that I posted. It's always the dumb videos that people get mad about that get you viral.
yep.
Um, in the electrical world, there's the NEC code book, which is just like our code that we follow, but it's not the same necessarily nationwide because some people run off of 2017, some people run off of 2020. It's basically what your state accepts. So I was doing something that isn't code compliant for 2020 code book, but it was compliant for 2017, which is what New York follows currently. And it was a huge uproar. It was crazy. It was like, what is this girl doing? She has no idea what she's doing. And then other people were like, that's totally normal in New York State. Like, and then after that, it just went uphill for me.
That, isn't it funny though? Of all, and you probably had so many like cool content pieces before that, but there had to be some kind of controversy or angst to get that jump. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and then, like I said, ever since then, it was always I started on TikTok, and then I moved to Instagram. Instagram, I was like, just post to Facebook. I don't even want to see that. And then, just this year, I started YouTube long form because I've been able to be on some more bigger commercial jobs by myself, where I'm able to actually just like set up a camera and record, and not have to worry about people or anything like that. So I've been starting YouTube, but YouTube's rough.
I've talked to, I've got a couple of friends that have done really well on social media. One of them's my buddy Matt Pittman from Meat Church. And he told me he thought YouTube was the hardest grind to kind of get going. And then he said kind of once he got to a cadence, like, okay, I'm dropping a cooking video every Tuesday or every Tuesday and Friday. He's like, he felt like when he got that cadence is when he started to kind of pick up traffic. So
Yeah, it
um,
takes some work, but that is like the platform you want to be on. Like that's the platform that reaches the most people. That's like your go-to, and they compensate nicely for it.
yes, that is what I've heard. And it's someone that's 47 years old. You're used to growing up around TV and this and that. And I got to say, the amount of content I'm consuming off of YouTube is higher than it's ever been in my life. Because I feel like one, so many people are on it, and two, there's just like so much good quality stuff out there. You know what I mean? Like I love Shane Gillis. I think he's funny as hell. So if I need a laugh, I want to watch something, you just type in Shane Gillis, and dude, there's all of his 10 best spots. You know what I mean? It's so simple and just so convenient.
Yeah, whatever you're looking for, it's there. And I like to watch other tradespeople too, like that shit is interesting to me. I don't get to see what other people do all the time. My boyfriend's an iron worker. I'm like, bro, you got to get on social media. I want to see you walking those beams. He's like, Lexi, I will drop my phone. It will go down on the ground. Like, you're going to have to pay me for a phone every day. And I'm like, but the content.
Yes. That is too funny. So speaking of that, what is your one of your favorite accounts to follow?
So I have a lot of accounts. I'm trying to think. I'm really big into right now the outdoor scene. I don't know why. I've been like, I mean, we turkey hunt and deer hunt. I don't know the names of the accounts. I'm so bad. I can't think. There's this one girl though that hunts with a bow and arrow. I'm gonna
Mhm.
find it for you and I'm gonna
Okay.
send it to you. I don't know her name,
Yeah.
but yeah, we're big into that here up in upstate New York. So
Yeah, you got I have been fortunate to work with some guys and the guys and gals both in the outdoor space. And I have kind of a passion for it too. I didn't grow up like I was an athlete. So me and my dad, we didn't hunt. We spent our time together, at the ball field or this and that. But I had a really good friend growing up that was an outdoors guy, and we did a little bit of hunting with him and his dad. And then as I kind of got into working with Traeger, one of the things was to work with some outdoors folks. And to me, that's another thing where I just have a ton of respect for it. I mean, the amount of time it takes to train with a bow and arrow and feel confident about going out and landing, harvesting a deer or an elk or something like that with the time and the expense and just the luck of, or the work to get a good shot. I
it's
have a lot of respect for it. I love watching the videos of not the hunt as much as the training to prepare for the hunt.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I wasn't big into hunting until I met my boyfriend. He's big into that. He is like his shot is crazy. But so he used to take me hunting and there was one time we went turkey hunting a couple years ago and I actually fell asleep against a tree. And I was snoring. And he's like, "Lexi, what are you doing?" And I'm like, I can't it's dark out here. How are you even seeing out here?" But he even had me pregnant in a tent deer hunting. I was like, this is crazy. But I enjoy like watching that stuff. Same thing with automotive. There's this girl, Brittany Automotive, I believe. I don't know if you've seen her. She's on all platforms. She just got into the IBDW actually for electrical. She's trying to out branch too. But she does some really cool shit with cars and motors and trucks. And I like stuff that is not in my field. I like to watch. That's like my favorite stuff to watch.
I would say so too. Like I have a couple of barbecue accounts that I like. My buddy Matt Pittman from Meat Church. A couple of those that I just watch because they're always coming up with new stuff. But I'm that same way. I think most of my scroll is in outdoors type stuff, sports. those are the things that, I like to keep an eye on what's happening in my field, but you do that all day. I want to see a little something different, something a little more engaging.
Yeah, like I see all the trades on my job sites. I like them. I like to watch them. They're really cool. Actually, now that we're talking about it, there is another girl that posts, she welds and she makes these really crazy I'm trying to think of her name. She makes these like crazy ass statues with metal. Her name's official Jen Phillips.
Okay.
Go look her up. She's crazy. I just like watching things that are like, I could never do that.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how do you do that?
Yeah. Well, like I have no problem having like just being impressed with somebody and going, that is not in my skill set, but damn, enjoyed watching you do that. You know what I mean? Like an
Yeah, like
appreciation for it.
how'd you even do that?
Or sometimes just the creativity and the vision, right? Like, where did you even come up with that from? Like, and then to execute it is like the cherry on top, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's awesome. Social media has definitely grown and showed me so many things that I would have never even thought about prior to being on social media, but it's like I said, it's cool to watch.
Totally agree. So, I want to jump back to the job site for a second. You hit on something a little bit earlier about, being a female on the job site and the challenges that go along with it. Do you feel like your social media presence and growth has helped or hindered that?
I think it's helped. There are always people that are going to talk shit about females on the job site. That's totally normal. But you know what's funny actually? I feel like on social media, people have more to say negatively because they're not on my job site, so they don't know. But like as far as job sites, like being on a job site with men, once they see like the work that I do and the time that I put in, they are completely respectful and like that's what I'm also trying to portray to females and everybody is that anybody can do it. You just have to want to do it. There's so many females out there that pick up a trade because it's like they were born into that field and they have connections or something like that and they kind of just do it for the money and there's females that give us a bad name too. So it's like it's it's the same thing for men though. There's men that are lazy as hell on the job site and then there's men that work their ass off. So it's
Yep.
kind of like a hit or miss, but I think that posting on social media is showing more women that women can do it.
No, and I love that. I mean, I'll tell you, I think, because one of the things I was thinking about in our, in preparing for our discussion is, I thought back to when I was in school and you had, you could go take vocational classes in the high school, and you could do, OJT on the job training. So, your last two classes, you went and worked in your trade and got some skills. I don't even know if that's around anymore. If it's, I mean, I'm sure it is in some areas, and other areas it's not. But like to me, like that needs to be an investment in just, making trades cool. Like they are. I mean, like so much shit doesn't get done in this world if you don't have skilled labor to knock it out. You know?
Yeah, there was something I saw on TikTok one day where they were like trades is going to be like the new thing. Like that's the thing that people are going to want to go into because it is cool and we're there's so many trade influencers that are starting to show their work and like I feel like it motivates people more because now they're seeing what the job is actually like as opposed to just hearing about the job. They get to actually see what the work looks like and the people that are doing it and stuff like that and I think it's going to encourage more people to take on that because we need that. We have such a shortage in trades right now.
Absolutely. And to me, the other thing that can help too is brands like Trollco. I mean, I work with those guys. We're partners with them on the old boy apparel side. I know you work with them, but like to me, when I stumbled upon what Justin and Jason had created, with Trollco, I loved it because it's like it makes blue collar cool. Like I love wearing that shirt that just says support blue collar on it. I will wear that shirt out all the friggin' time because I am. You know what I mean? Like I cook barbecue. I'm a blue collar dude and I'm proud of it. But like having a way to express yourself too, with apparel and merch and just be able to get it out there and let people see like, oh, that guy's a tradesman too. That person's a tradesman. Or even if they're not a tradesman, you can still wear it. You're just showing that you respect the hustle and respect the blue collar grind.
Yeah, I mean, all my followers know I love Trollco. That is my brand. That is my favorite shit right there. I've put so many people onto that. I cannot express how much I like Trollco as a brand and everything they come out with is so authentic and Listen, I'm always wearing that on the job site, even when I get yelled at to put on my company gear.
Well, and for me too, it's like it's not just slapping good sayings on it. It's like stuff you want to wear when you're working in the trade. Like everything that they build, whether it be the vest, so many different things that it's built for your job. You know what I mean? It's not just the
Yeah.
run of the mill stuff that you're stamping out. And I have a real appreciation for that. It's one thing to advertise or support something, but it's also even better when you can go build something that actually works for the folks out there wearing it.
Yeah, it's high quality. It stays intact. My boyfriend wears it when he's welding. He's an iron worker, and he doesn't have as many issues as he does with other work brand gear that rips every. I get him something and it rips in the first like week. I'm like, bro, I just got that for you. That was like $80. Come on. So he's actually the one that told me about Trollco, and he was like, Lexi, this is the brand that you need to get me. This was back before I started social media. And I'm like, okay, sorry. Like I didn't know, whatever. Then my bank account started to be all right. I didn't have to buy so many clothes all the time.
One of the things too, when in looking at the trades and talking about it, is kind of getting back to that education. Like, do you have any ideas on how we've got social media? Is there any other kind of outreach you can think that would be positive to not just bring more people to study in the trades, but specifically more females?
Social media is a big thing right now for it, but as far as like as far as schooling, I feel like the school should promote it more. We have like in New York State, we have something called BOCES, which is what you would go to if you wanted to start trades kind of early in high school.
Hmm.
They like give you like a program, but they don't teach you enough about it. I feel like trades should definitely be promoted by states and by schools, because I know they want to get you into college so bad, but like at the end of the day, if we're not having tradesmen, who's going to fix the roads or who's going to have your electric on? Like they need to start promoting that, and they need to start giving options for people, because there's more than one route for every tradesperson. Not everybody's going to take the same route. There's so many options and ways to get into trades.
Well, and do you want to specialize? Like I know you do. I believe both residential and commercial electric, right?
Yeah, so my company is like a one-stop shop. They do residential, commercial, and industrial. And everybody does it a little bit differently based on where you're coming from, but my company likes to start us at residential first to kind of basically give us the ground layer for like electrical theory and understanding like how things work, troubleshooting, like and all that stuff. And then once we get through that, it's kind of more shifting into commercial, because now we're doing more heavy duty equipment and like more expensive equipment. So that is, personally, I think that that might be the best way, unless you want to stay in residential. There's nothing bad about that. But I love commercial. I like the heavy duty. I like the big pipe. I like the big wire. That's like my zone right there.
I could tell your voice got a little more excited when you started talking about the commercial. That's awesome.
Yeah, I could do
Um,
commercial work all day.
and would you say that's the majority of what you do now, since you've kind of moved up in the ranks a bit?
Yeah, so I don't really do industrial work. That's like a whole nother
Well,
ball game, kind of.
you mind excusing my ignorance and explain the difference between commercial and industrial?
Yeah, so commercial is more in a ditch running PVC, running bigger mechanical switch gears and stuff like that. Industrial is a lot of pipe work, like metal pipe work, and if you're an industrial, you probably do a lot of hospitals and a lot of metal framing buildings and stuff like that.
Okay.
Whereas commercial, like I said, there's different types of commercial, but for my company, we do bigger generators, bigger services, and I'm outside a lot of the time.
And do you like being outside? Is that one of the perks of the job for you?
Love it. I hate being inside.
I like it. And then that kind of leads to your favorite part of the job and your least favorite part.
My favorite part of the job is terminating big wire. I don't know if you're familiar, but there's different gauges of wire. So, like for a 4 or 600 amp service, you have this wire that's like this big, this thick, and it's a mofo to get into the panel and into the lugs. But once
Right.
you do it, it's like I just did that. Like it's just so rewarding, I feel like, and the end product looks so nice. My least favorite is probably going to be doing some sort of residential housework where I have to deal with a customer or I have to be clean and I have to like wear like slippers in the house so that way I can't dirty their floors. I just am not that kind of person. I just want to be left alone and I want to get dirty and just do my work.
Well, I was going to ask you too. Is that one thing you like about being an electrician? Is usually you can work alone. Like to me, there's certain times that I enjoy that because you can go at your own pace. You kind of you have a plan in your head. Not that I don't like working with teams or communicating, but sometimes it's nice to have it all planned out and just go at your pace and your vision.
Yeah, so every company is different, but like for my company specifically, we usually have one journeyman and one apprentice per job. If it's something really big, we might have two journeymen and two apprentices, but it's usually that ratio because one journeyman is always going to have to teach the apprentice.
Hmm.
But so my brother was actually my apprentice for a really long time. And it's cool to train people from the bottom because you can actually mold them into work how you work. So
Sure.
it's kind of like just two of you working. And I
Yeah.
don't mind that.
No, I love that. How long did you work with your brother? That's super cool.
So I worked with my brother for about 2 years. He worked for a different electrical contractor during his apprenticeship, and then he moved over with me, and I trained him for about 2 years, and now he has his own apprentice and his own jobs, and he runs his own shit.
That's awesome. Good for him. Younger brother?
Yeah, he's younger. He's 7 years younger, even though he has a beard and looks older than me. It's
Well,
ridiculous.
I mean, but look at that. I mean, dude's 20 years old and freaking out there crushing it as a journeyman already. Hell yeah, good
Yeah,
for
he's
him.
killing it. He is killing it.
That is too cool. Will you walk me a little bit through? So we kind of talked about it a little bit there. So apprentice, journeyman, and is there anything above that?
So you can become a master after your journeyman. And basically, how that works is you have to be working under a journeyman. Every state is different. So for New York State, you have to be working under a journeyman between 7.5 and 8 years.
Wow.
And then you can apply to take your license. But New York State is a little jacked up where you have to get a license by county and by city. You don't get it
Oh
by
Lord.
state. So, like, you have the opportunity to get like 4 or 5 different licenses to work in certain areas of the state. But so, yeah, you can get your master's, but it's not necessarily required, especially if you work for a company, you work under a master electrician.
That makes sense. That seems like a lot of work to get that certification. The money better be worth it.
It's a lot. Electrical is one of the longer trade times, and it's really because of all like the theory and like understanding electricity and stuff like that. It is a lot of math and it is a lot of like all of that stuff, but if you can push past that, it's a breeze.
And I'm perfectly fine that it takes that much because that shit can kill you pretty quick too. So we
Yes.
we don't need any novices out there, and that's got to be something too as a journeyman. Teaching an apprentice. I mean, you kind of feel responsibility for their well being and them, making it through the day. So that has to be a little set of nerves too.
Yeah, you have to teach them properly. I mean, whatever you do, you want to make sure that you explain what's going on and really give the apprentice a background. Apprentices aren't allowed to work live. And technically neither are journeymen. It depends on what company you work for, if you're in a union or not. Majority of people are not allowed to work live, but my boss has taught us the best way, and personally, I think that to fully understand and respect electricity, there is some sort of working live that is going to come with the job. Otherwise, you're not going to understand electricity or respect it. Obviously, it's going to be lower voltage that's going to be live. We're not
Hmm.
doing anything high voltage that could potentially kill us live. But there is a certain level of respect that you gain for electricity when you do troubleshoot live and things like that.
Okay, nobody's listening. It's just me and you. You ever been bit?
Oh, absolutely. That can be on this. That can be not just between us. I've commented that I've been asked that a few times and had to respond, yeah. That comes with the job, and
Sure.
like I said, it depends on the company. There are journeymen on social media that will tell you that they've never worked live and they've never been bitten by electricity. Um I haven't gotten anything crazy, 120 volts. Not I haven't even been bitten by 240 because I am very, very cautious. 120 is kinda like a little tingle. kind of like, oh mother,
Gets the
like
blood flowing a little bit.
yeah, yeah. Some people comment on my page and they're like, yeah, that's my morning coffee. I'm like, you're ridiculous.
You're sadistic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, 120 is the highest I've gotten bit by, but it definitely kicks you.
And what would you say? Is it usually just in handling? Like, what would you say is the opportunity where you're most likely to get bit? I mean,
Not
obviously
paying
working live,
attention.
not paying attention.
Not paying attention. There is so many ways for you to cautiously work live. But a lot of it is also your PPE. So for me personally, if I'm working live, I'm wearing special insulated gloves and I'm usually using 1,000-volt rated insulated screwdrivers and stuff like that for anything like pretty high.
Mhm.
You're really gonna get like zapped on dumb shit that you're doing, like working on a receptacle and that you didn't realize and you hit the box or something and it's like,
Yeah.
like yeah, it's definitely self-awareness and proper protection for those events for sure.
No, I think that's great advice. I want to switch gears a little bit and kind of go back to social media and not beat up and not talk about that too much, but I want to talk about, with an account that's grown so big and so quick. What opportunities have came up for you that you know you didn't? Because I think a lot of times when we set out on these journeys, it's not for what we end up getting at the end, but how has it been to see these ancillary opportunities and benefits come up? I know you just got back from a show yesterday in Indianapolis. Like, just talk a little bit about that and what that means to you to be involved in those type of things.
So that all just started around this year. Last year I didn't have a lot. I did get sponsored by Klein Tools last year. I'm sure you've probably heard of them.
Sure have.
But the amount of opportunities that come with social media if you're doing it correctly is amazing. And the opportunities that I've been able to get from social media, I've never in a million years. Like um I went to World of Concrete already this year. I don't even do concrete, but Diablo Tools was promoting their new products and they invited me to come and kind of test out their products and stuff that we use as electricians on a daily basis. And it's cool because I get to speak to the actual manufacturers and the creators of these things that we use. And I get to put my input in. And they're like actually paying attention and listening because they know that I'm the user and I'm using them on the field. So I've gotten a lot of really cool I've gotten a lot of really cool respect with a bunch of big companies. I'm currently working with Milwaukee Tools as well. I
That's
love the
awesome.
people over there at Milwaukee, but also Hilti. The brands want to know what the users are going to use and what they like and dislike about their products. And yeah, so there's a lot of cool stuff coming this year for sure. As far as all of that goes, but I'll be going to a couple more things throughout the year that I'm going to have to
Oh, you got to tell me about this.
record and
You got to tell me about this truck pull coming up. That's old boy language right there.
all right. All right. So, my boyfriend's best friend is a farmer. He's like not on social media, but he's seen my social media grow to a crazy amount in such a small period of time. And he's like, Lexi, how do you do that? Like, what the hell? Like, you got to teach me. And I'm like, Dylan, you do so much farming stuff and you do like badass shit. Like, you gotta take it up on the opportunity. And he had reached out to me and asked me if I'd be willing to go down there for this truck pull in Kentucky, this tractor pull. And
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't even know what that is, Dylan. And he's sending me pictures, and it's these giant $1 million tractors that he buys and he pulls them in competitions. And I don't know anything about it. And I'm like, so what do you like place normally? And he's like, I'm like top 3 usually. And I'm like, top 3, Dylan, I'm getting my camera and we're going down there and we're recording, buddy, because that's gonna be a really cool event.
I love it. That's a blast. And getting, to me, that's when it's cool. Is like you're not in your discipline of electrical, but because you know that fan or follower of yours is gonna love what Dylan's doing. 90% of them are gonna be like, dude, that's badass shit. Thanks for sharing it. I got to go follow him. You know what I mean? That to me is cool. Is when you can kind of have that crossover. What I really enjoy about this podcast is, yeah, I'm a barbecue guy, but I've got to meet so many people across so many different walks of life, and it allows me, like you've taught me today, and hopefully we're teaching a lot of listeners at the same time. And I just think when you've got enough respect in your discipline that you can cross over into other disciplines, to me, that's awesome.
I feel like the more valuable you become is when you do those things. So, like, personally, like, I'm into way more stuff than just electrical work. So, I have, like, since my social media journey, I've been doing more videos on other things. Like, I just posted a video of me doing a gas line. Um, I have been able to get into different fields, and it does still resonate with my following because my following is blue collar. That's what it
Exactly.
is. So, uh gas fitters will resonate with my stuff. I also do cooking. It really left field, but that's like a thing that I've always done. So I just posted on my social media channel. And then same thing with this truck pull, the tractor pull, and like farming. Like that's stuff that we always like are around. And so like I'm just posting basically my life at this point. A tree fell down in our backyard last week, and I have like a whole video of us like cutting down the tree and moving it and stuff. And people just want to see like what you do in life. They're not totally just worried about like your electrical content. I think that that grew me a lot, but I think that people just want to see what everybody has to offer in general.
Okay, well, I'm really curious of this. So, should folks focus more on the quality of the content, like high fidelity, or should they not worry about the fidelity as much and make it and just try to post more often?
I think in the beginning, it's really important to show your followers that you have this special skill that you do. So I've been posting for electrical work, like I said, for like a year and a half now. And I've posted so many various job sites. So I feel like I have a lot of credibility in the electrical world. But after a certain period of time, there's people that are like, what else does Lexi do? Like other than just electrical work, because now they're becoming interested in you as just like a person in general. Like, oh, she does this, but like, is she like one of those girls that doesn't go home and cook? Is she one of those girls that like doesn't do other things? Like, what's
Yeah,
her other hobbies? You know what I mean? So
sure.
people become excited about like what you do in general. So I feel like after a certain period of time, I think you should branch out and start to show people like different areas of your life. I feel like it will engage your following a little bit more and get them more hooked on you as a person.
No, I think that's extremely valid because I've noticed that too. Like during COVID, we did a lot of online barbecue classes, and there was something about like those people seeing you in your kitchen doing it yourself. Like I think it just gives more of a there's 30 people on a Zoom call and you're all looking at each other and like you're showing them how to cook, and I felt like that was way more of a connection than putting a post out. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
feel like finding those opportunities too is pretty cool. But I want to go back to this cooking thing. You hit on something that's in my wheelhouse. So
Speaking of, I'm gonna definitely be reaching out to you about grilling because we actually are big grillers over here.
all right, hey, I would love to talk about that. I'd love to send you some of my whiskey bent rubs, and then also, are you what's your spice level? You like a little bit of spice or no spice?
So this is gonna get onto a whole nother topic, but I am Puerto Rican and Colombian.
You love spice.
And so a lot of my content, a lot of the reason why people watch my cooking to begin with is because I cook a lot of Spanish food. And that is like people are like, Lexi, you look white as hell. What are you doing cooking Spanish food? And I'm like, I'm not just white, I swear. I know I have some spice.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
So
it.
I do like spicy food a lot, and I have been getting into more of posting my cooking because I do it for dinner. Why not just freaking take my camera out and start recording what I'm doing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And that's coming from a guy that never does that and cooks all the time. But yes, I agree, and I should do a better job of that too.
People
Um,
just like to see you as a person. You engage better. Like they engage better with you. You feel more real to them. If you're just posting on social media the same thing over and over, they're kind of like I've gotten comments before, like before I started like branching out and doing other things where people are like, she's AI or like she's like she's like propaganda. Like, who is this girl? Like this is just like this isn't even real. And I'm like, no, I swear to God, like I'm a real person.
I'm here.
It's me, I'm real. Look, I'm cooking random. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have to. So one of our sponsors of the show and good friend Tim Montana, him and Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top started up a little hot sauce company called Whisker Bomb, and they've got a couple different levels. We'll have to get you a little care package to try those out too. They're absolutely delicious, and I love it because I like spice, but it's got to be meaningful spice. Like, just don't give me something to light me up. Like, I want to be able, I want it to be flavorful and I want it to add to the dish. And I feel like Tim and Billy did an amazing job with that. And one thing people don't know about Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, been a rock star for 5 decades, but always has a bottle of hot sauce in his inside pocket of his jacket.
Listen, the hot sauce is where it's at. Yeah, it has to be. It can't just want to take me out. It's gotta be flavorful. You know what I mean, and have like a real taste to it. Because otherwise, you're just gonna ruin the food.
Absolutely. So me and Jason and Justin from Trollco come over and have dinner with you and your boyfriend. What dish do you make us?
I made a tomahawk steak a couple weeks ago.
All right.
That was good. I season more Spanish style, so I'm always using adobo. I use soy sauce, which is like something that you probably wouldn't think of using on a steak, but it is really freaking good. Yeah, so I have like a more Spanish twist on it, but and also I make a really mean skirt steak, not gonna lie.
Oh, yes. Oh, now you're getting me hungry. I should have ate before this podcast. Dang it, Lexi.
My bad.
But hey, I like it. You're a red meat girl. That's right down my vein too.
Yeah. I need red meat. Chicken just doesn't do it for me sometimes, you know.
I like that style. We need to mark that on the tape. Chicken just doesn't do it for me sometimes.
Just doesn't do it for me sometimes.
I love that. So going back, learning this from your grandpa and your family and spending a lot of time with your grandpa, he has to be super proud of you, right?
Yeah. It's funny. My grandfather's a little older, so he's kind of more out of touch. He didn't really understand what the hell was going on at first. He was kind of like, "Oh yeah, you're getting stuff on social media," and then all of a sudden one day I came up to him with a huge care package from Klein Tools, and it was and he was like, "This is for me," and I'm like, "Yeah, they sent it for you. This is a thank you there." But yeah, so it's my grandfather, but it's also my dad. My dad has been a big help. He actually saw the social media vision way before I even saw it. He would text me and be like, "Lexi, where's your post?" I'm like, "Dad, I have 500 followers." He's like, "I don't care. Post it. Post the videos. Where's your videos?" He texts me every day when I go up 1,000 followers. He's like on it. My dad
How
is
cool
like
is
my
that?
biggest fan.
Dad cracking the whip. Lexi, get to it. Get that thing growing. I love it. That is so cool.
And he's been an electrician. Well, he's not an electrician anymore, but he was an electrician for I think 10 or 12 years before he got out of the trade.
That is so cool. I love it. That, and that's what it's about. When I was talking about, my grandfather and uncle's welding, and I remember begging my grandfather to teach me how to weld. And he said, "Son," he said, "no one," and this is during that time where if you don't go to college, you're just going to end up in a ditch somewhere. And he's like, "Son, I'll tell you what," he said, "when you come back with that, no one's got a college degree in this family. When you come back with that college degree, I'll teach you how to weld." And he passed 6 months before I got my degree. So that's one thing. If I could ever go back, I wish I could have just said, "Papa, I promise I'll get that degree. Just teach me how to weld."
Just teach me, yeah.
And both my uncles were more than willing to, "Hey, Chad, we'll teach you." And I'm like, "Nah, you know what? Like, that was mine and his thing. Maybe that's just the good Lord saying, I don't need to learn how to weld. I'll burn the shit out of myself or burn down a building." So
listen, I've tried to weld. It's not that easy at all.
Yeah, I know. I would watch them and I'm like, "Man, this isn't that hard." And he was like a really, really good TIG welder. And that to me is like art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and a really good stick welder too. And so it's like he was just so old school. And the shop still stands, and every now and then, probably once a year, I just walk in there for the nostalgia point of view of it. And that I think is where, my love and just commitment to blue collar is. I think it's just, I did office jobs for plenty of time, but when the opportunity came up to use my hands and work full time and make a living at it, it's hard to say no.
It is, because at the end of the day, you're like, wow, listen, the day was rough, but I did something, and I actually produced something for myself and for the world,
And that is it. Like, just something as simple as we put this is the second podcast we've recorded in the new studio. And, Sunday we kind of threw together this wall and got everything going, and just stepping back after a 10, 11-hour day, before you close the door and looking at it and going, "All right, man, it was a damn good day, Tater. Let's go on." You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're exhausted, but it was worth it. You have something to take from that day.
And the other thing I found is the harder you work, the better you sleep usually.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm knocked. My boyfriend's like, "Yo, you just turned on a movie. Are you alive?" And I'm like, "No, I'm done. I'm done. I've had enough."
What would you say is one of the more, have you had any, young ladies reach out to you and look at you as kind of an inspiration for getting into the trades, looking for advice, looking for things to do?
Yeah, so I have a lot of females reach out to me. Sometimes Instagram is a pain in the ass with like the DMs and stuff. I don't get a lot of them. But the people that do reach out to me are very just inspired, but they're also looking for more answers for how they can do things. So I try
Hmm.
to make as many videos as I can explaining that because it's a lot. Like it's definitely a lot for somebody who has no idea in the field. Like I said, I had like a background like growing up I was a little country redneck out there in the outside working, so I kind of had like that initial drive to do it. But for somebody that's not has never been exposed to that, it's definitely challenging to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, just how do you navigate it? And there's so many people that'll, especially, you know, a younger lady, like, hey, is this somebody I should work with? Is it not? Like, is this the right thing? Is this who should be training me? Like those type of things I gotta think are a little more, you have to be a little more aware of as a female in kind of more of a male dominated world.
Being a female is rough in the trades. Depending on what trade you get in, but I feel like you have to have some grit to you. Um, anybody can get the grit. You just
Yeah.
gotta want it bad enough. But there, like, I'll give you an example just for ha-has. When
Yeah.
I was an apprentice, my company hired. I had already been an apprentice for 3 years, and they hired another female that was just out of a job, trying to find what she wanted to do. She knew her parents knew the owner of the company, and he was like, you know what, let's just give her a try. This girl walked in with skinny jeans and fresh Timberland boots and a purse. And I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe she just doesn't get it. Let's just try her out, right? So then we had this job like an hour and a half upstate. It was for like a huge wedding venue, and we were running all the big service lines for it. So we were in a ditch in the middle of the woods upstate, and it was in the summer, so the excavators had just ripped the mud up, and there was like these gnats all over the place. And I had a sweater on, and I had fully tightened it, so there was just like a little hole. And I'm running this pipe in the ground. It's like 4-inch pipe, and I turn around, and this girl is sitting in the excavator. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? And
Oh my
after
lord.
that, she never showed up ever again. So
And
you
and
have
uh,
to have some grit.
that is too funny. Probably didn't even get a scuff on those boots, did she?
Nope. No, and she was like, and we never heard from her ever again. She never even just never came back after that day. She must have got bit by a gnat or something one time, and that was it. I don't know.
You know what? She was meant to have that first day so that she just knew next, like, this is not
Right.
for me.
Listen, some people are cut out for it and some people aren't, but if you're not, you can get cut out for it. You just gotta want it.
No, I completely agree. But I feel like, too, that's something, you open the door so I can say this. I feel like that's something this generation just lacks a bit of. It's just that drive to go get something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've gone through a few apprentices, and it's definitely hard. My brother was one of the first apprentices that I can say, and it's because he has the work ethic that I do because he grew up in the same household as me. But the I trained like 2 or 3 other apprentices, and I was just like, "Man, this is not for you." But I can't say that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
gotta I gotta at least try, and I'm teaching them, and they're just not grasping anything. And then eventually they're like, I really didn't even want to do electrical. I just needed a job. My parents were harassing me, and I'm like, "Oh my fucking god. Do you know
Yeah.
how long it took you to train you?"
Yep. And now you're just going to throw it away? Yeah.
Yeah. And then I now don't have an apprentice, and I'm like, "This is ridiculous." But that's a lot of what's going on right now. It's rough.
That is crazy. Like, if you just had to get a job, there's so many other things I would think. Maybe it's because I'm sure the pay's strong, right?
Not as an apprentice. So that's the other
Really?
thing. People
Okay.
come into trades. I mean, like I said, every trade is different, but for electrical, you come into the trade thinking that you're making that journeyman rate, and you are not. You are bottom of the barrel because people get like frustrated. There's definitely been people in my comments that are like, you guys encourage people to join the trades, but you guys don't want to pay for that, you don't want to pay for apprentices. And what they don't understand, especially in skilled trade, is that it's a skill that you have to learn. We have to teach you that. You're doing the bare minimum for us right now, and we're using our time to train you as well as get the job done. So, like, it's hard.
Well, and when you look at it that way, that's almost like you should feel fortunate. Like you're getting paid to learn. Like that doesn't you go to college, nobody's paying you to learn.
Right?
You know what
You
I
have
mean?
to pick up a second job somewhere.
Exactly. No, I when you really look at it through that lens, it's almost a blessing. Not a curse. Like they're kind of making it out to be.
Yeah, because skilled trade, once you learn that, you have that for your whole life. Are you kidding me? You can do electrical anywhere. You could do it anywhere, do anything, and you don't have to worry about it, but you have to take the time and actually learn the trade. People don't make it that far because they're upset about the pay cut that you take from like working at like a Target or like a McDonald's versus working in the trades. You're obviously making more money at those places off jump because you're at the bottom of the barrel in the trades. You know what I mean?
Well, and what are you gonna at Target? I mean, you're at one of those type jobs, your ability to get up to higher pay is going to be much more long term. It would probably take you 8 to 10 years to get to the pay that you can get at. What's it usually take for an average apprentice to get a journeyman?
After 4 years is a journeyman in New York State. I don't know what it is in other states, but 4 years is a journeyman for us.
Yeah, and I just don't think you're going to get that same level of pay increase, doing just a regular run of the mill job over 4 years of experience.
Yeah, but what you're learning is going to be like once you hit that journeyman, you know a lot at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're at the point where you're like, all right, I know a lot. And so like that's the biggest thing. And then you have the opportunity to eventually work on your own. And that's a huge deal because working at like a different job, you can't do that. You can't just like you're going to start a Target. How the fuck are you going to do that?
And the other part with those too is like if you're not someone that loves dealing with the public, like that's a benefit there. Like I feel like too many times, and don't get me wrong, like I know we all have to make a certain wage, we all have to survive, but and especially in trades, because trades can offer you a lot of freedom, especially once you get to a level of mastery, or even the journeyman level. But once you have that knowledge, I think a lot of people don't look at the total package of the opportunity and they just hone in on the hours and the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like how bad do you want it? Like,
yes.
You know what I mean? Like, do you want to stay at a job for the rest of your life, or do you want to get the freedom to be able to do whatever the hell you want? You can move anywhere and do any of the trades. The trades are in every state. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
People are too busy in this like time. People are so worried about making that fast cash, which is why we're so short on tradespeople to begin with. People don't want to put in the time that it takes to get to the level that they want to be at. They think that it's gonna be like, I should be making this money right now. Are you kidding me? You're just lucky to have me. Like, come on, you're in your first year. You're running the material, buddy. You got to just do your thing. Like.
Why don't you keep stripping line for me, old boy?
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Yep. That's one of those things too. And in barbecue too, it's like, oh man, well I want to cook. It's like, oh, why don't you just stand back and watch for a little bit, make sure them dishes get cleaned up. You know what I mean?
And everybody starts somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's the only way you can gain the skills that when you do get to that level and you're running shit that you can run shit. You know what I mean? Like without that information, without that knowledge, without that training, you're underqualified or not qualified.
Yeah, people even in other aspects of life, people are just so worried about the immediate thing. They don't look at long-term goals anymore. They don't think that where they're at is temporary. They think it's permanent. Like where they're at is where you got to be making the most money right now. Like people have to set a long-term goal list out and really want to do something with their life to be successful in trades. It's not just some place where you can just come and just like be like, oh, I'm here. Where's my $60 an hour? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't work like that. So I feel like that's why it's hard to find good help right now, but it's out there for sure. You got to find the right people.
Well, you just gave me a softball for a great question. Where do you see yourself in the next 5-10 years? When you look at those long-term goals, like What is out there for you, like professionally and personally, that you want to attain?
So people ask me this a lot, but everybody asks me why I don't have my own company yet. And I think that everybody is on their own journey and is looking to do their own thing. I love electrical work. I will always love electrical work, but that's not what I want to do long term. And the reason that I set myself up this way is that in a couple of years, I don't even want to have to be doing that stuff to make a living. You know what I mean? I want to
Mhm.
be able to travel. I want to be able to pick up different things and kind of like show people that there's other things that you could be doing in life. You know what I mean? And I feel like people are so worried about working their entire lives away nowadays that they don't even see like the benefits that could come with, thinking outside the box and making a plan for yourself. I thought before like all of this that I was going to work my life away, but I just feel like there's other things out there that you could be doing that are going to interest people. And so it's a good, I'll always do some form of electrical. I just don't know how much I'll do. I'm also, I don't know if I'll get into it or not, but lineman and high voltage work is something that I've always like literally loved. And like I have the type of personality to where when I like get really good at something, I want to get to the next big thing. I'm already looking at what's next and jumping, and I've been researching that stuff, and I do like the high voltage end of electrical work a lot. So you might see me somewhere there, or you might see me on in a different state doing some random shit like on a farm. I don't know.
I love it though, and it's very it's yeah, I love that because it's very similar to kind of the same approach that I've kind of taken is like for you, electrical was the enabler, right? And for me, barbecue has been the enabler to make all these, connections. But when they lay me down, I don't want to be like, oh, that was one of the best barbecue dudes I ever met. Like I want to, I wanted to be Chad Ward, and part of who Chad Ward was he was a barbecue, he's a barbecue guy, but then has done all this on top of it as far as being an entrepreneur and this and that, and so I love that answer, and I'm so excited to watch your journey. I'm still just blown away that it's been 18 months that you've grown this account, and but I shouldn't be because the one thing that's came out in this interview is just your passion, your commitment, your drive, your work ethic. It's super honorable.
Thank you. Yeah, my dad growing up, they did not have money. I know people comment on my videos and they're like, "Yeah, you just like grew up in a wealthy family." Like my parents had no money. Like I watched my dad pull like 3 jobs, my mom do 3 jobs. Like they were barely home. I was taking care of like my 3 siblings and watching them grind and like work for something, and they finally got to the point in their life where like it all worked out for them. And like it's just cool to watch that journey, and it inspires you to do the same thing. And so I just want to go out there and get it. It feels like it's been way longer than 2 years, but I've been hustling for those 2 years. I'll tell you that.
Well, I will tell you. I mean, just in kind of scrolling, I first found your account when I started working with Justin and Jason at Trollco. They had said, hey, here's some. Well, I think I'd actually just searched some hashtags because I was trying to see, the people that they worked with, et cetera, and pulled up your account. And I started, kind of scrolling through, and I'm like, damn, and that's why I thought it had been around longer because you have a ton of content. And I think that's what surprised me about the longevity of how long you've really been posting electrical stuff.
Yeah, I'm working every day. I'm working every day. I'm making content every single day, and I'm fast. So like I'm getting this work done fast enough to be able to be producing new content the next day or the next week depending on how long the jobs take. But I've really gotten very good at electrical work to the point where now I'm comfortable doing that.
That's awesome. And do you find that trying to post daily is key to growth?
No. I
No.
feel like a healthy relationship with social media is the best way to grow. I feel like if you're trying really hard to push content every single day and it's burning you out, you're going to almost resent social media, and you're not going to produce the highest quality content, and you're not going to do the best work. So I think it's a balance. I think like there's some days where there's like 2 or 3 days that go by and I haven't posted. Like just this week I like kind of was slacking because I was traveling so much, but I can't do it all, you know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
something's got to give a little bit. So I think it's a healthy balance, and I think that when I go back on and I'm ready to do it, it comes out so great because I've given myself that break.
Well, and I feel like too, like especially talking about you were being gone at the World of Concrete show, like that's something you've never done. So part of you wants to live in the moment. You don't want to be living it through the eye of your phone lens. Like you want to shake people's hand, have genuine conversations. And I think there's a fair mix of that too, where you enjoy that time if you strike up a friendship or enjoy each other's company. Well, then you can do a podcast or a video together or something of that nature. But I think the one thing not to lose is enjoy the moment, live in the moment. Especially if it's something that may just be a one time thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I have I'm very behind on a lot of my content. I have a bunch of videos ready, but I just know that if I force myself to edit them as fast, it's just not going to come out the way that I want, and I think I should just do it when it's time, you know what I mean? And I
Yep.
think that that is the best way to grow your platform. You definitely have to grind and sometimes push through. Like there are days where I'm like, "Yo, I do not want to do this when I get home. I am exhausted." But I do it and it comes out still good, but it's still, you know what I mean? Like it's just like that thing. You got to have a healthy balance with it, like with
What
everything.
do you have a software on your phone that you prefer to use for editing?
Yeah, I use it's really basic. It's InShot. It's a basic app on my phone. If I'm doing YouTube videos, I do my computer and I do edit a little bit more in depth because it's a longer video.
Hmm.
But I really keep the editing to a minimal. I find that it works the best if you don't try so aggressively and you do all these crazy things with the video. You want to just be authentic, you know?
Yes. That is a very key word there. I think with social media is authenticity. Like be the voice of who you are, not who you're trying to portray.
Yeah, there's a lot of social media influencers that have reached out to me and asked me who my manager is, who edits my videos, and I'm like, "Yo, you do realize that people want to see you. Like they want to interact with you. Like
Yep.
there's people that have been like, "You're doing too much, you're working. You need somebody to edit." And I'm like, "But if somebody edits my videos, that's not my style. It's not my
Right.
view. That's not me. It's not authentic. I have to be authentic."
Totally, completely agree with you on that. And plus it's like if somebody else is editing it, then, it's really hard then for you don't like there you did it. So what you want to show, what can be cut out, etc. So to me, no, I think that and then just handling the DMs too, I'm sure is quite the challenge with that many followers.
No, it is. And I try to reach as many people as I can, but it is a lot. But as far as brands go, same thing. They don't want to hear from your manager. They want to hear you. Are inspired by your work because you're authentic.
As someone that has been part of running influencer teams for the last 7.5 years, I enjoyed that comment.
Yeah,
that
you
is
want
that is so true.
authenticity. Like when you reach out to somebody, you don't want them to be like, "Oh, so this is her manager and she's only available." Like who wants that? Like who wants to deal with that?
Exactly. No, I completely agree and understand with you. One thing when we were talking about YouTube, do you want and probably maybe not because you like to kind of keep it authentic and it is what it is. Do you shoot for a is there a certain length of time for a long form YouTube video that you try to stay within the guide of?
I like 20-25 minutes. I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but for install jobs, I
Hmm.
really try to explain what I'm doing and show it from start to finish so people can really understand what's going on. It's hard to do that with a lot of jobs. So I'm only really able to do things like that in jobs where I'm at them for a week or two.
Hmm.
And I have that time, I have enough content to be doing that. Otherwise, I kind of stick to YouTube shorts with the smaller videos that I have,
Hmm.
but
The,
20 to 30 minutes.
to me, it seems like and you're more into it than I am, but doesn't it seem like YouTube's really been pushing the shorts lately?
Yeah, they are. But it's a hit or miss with the shorts. I don't love the analytics of YouTube. It's very different from all the other platforms. So I find that my long form videos do better because more people are seeing shorts are the same thing as reels and
Hmm.
TikTok videos. It's all the same. So giving the viewer a different type of content on a different platform is kind of what draws people into my YouTube because I don't do a lot of explaining on other platforms. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's different
Eh,
algorithm.
Sure. No, that makes a ton of sense, and two, like and that's, a lot of people in the food world, when it comes to longer form recipes, will try to stay between 8 and 10 minutes, even some a little bit shorter. But I feel like for what you do, and like you said, like if somebody comes and finds that piece of content, they're wanting you to go deeper. You know what I mean? So you don't want to kind of disappoint either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think every type of video is different, like with what everybody does. But for me, I feel like for the installs and stuff like that, people really want to see from start to finish. And like I'm recording like almost my 8-hour day, so cutting it to 20 minutes is still even like pushing it. You know what I mean? So
Damn, girl, you got an external battery pack, or how you keeping that thing running 8 hours?
I have like 5 batteries. But like I don't have the opportunity to turn off my camera because like that's the whole thing. I can't really stop what I'm doing at work. So it's just
Right.
like set up and I'm just walking around and like it's just moving with me and I don't really have time to check the frame. So there's definitely been times where I've gotten shit content where I've been like, "Oh my god, I wasn't even in the damn frame. Like I can't even post this." But like it happens, especially when you're actually working in a trade, you know what I mean? Like I can't be
Sure.
focused on that.
It's an active job site, and you can't get bid again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yep, exactly. Yep.
So being on your feet, working outside, to share with all the other blue collar folks out there listening, is there a boot that you just really prefer that you find to be like super comfortable and supportive?
There's a boot, but I don't love the brand.
Okay.
I don't
Then
love the
hey,
brand. But so on that, just give me like a few months
okay.
because I'm working on something with that, and then I'll come back with a better answer. I will tell you from other people's experience that, like, for example, my boyfriend and all of his friends are iron workers.
Hmm.
Thorogood is their go-to. And
Okay.
I spoke to him about it, and it's simply because he has to tie those laces so damn tight because he's walking on beams. He can't slip. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
absolutely.
Thorogood is their go-to. I've tried Thorogood. I'm not a huge fan, but I don't really need to be tight. Like I don't need my laces that tight.
Right.
The shoe that I'm using right now is actually a slip-on steel toe,
Okay.
which is like a new thing, but it's from a freaking company in China and I don't love them. Like I just don't like the company really. So like I said, when I get to that point, I'll reach back out to you and tell you about it for
I'm
sure.
holding you to it.
Yep.
No, Lexi, this has been so awesome. I thank you so much for the time. I've got so much respect for what you've done, what you're doing, what you're going to do. Um, your family should be very proud of you.
Thank
And
you.
before we let you go, is there anything else you want to hit on?
No, I think you got me on everything.
All right, we'll knock one up for Chad. There we
Actually,
go.
you
Uh,
know
uh,
what? Let me tell you one story that I literally
please.
have not told anybody yet.
We're
But I'll
closing strong. I
I'll
love
give
it.
it to you because this will be your cliffhanger.
All right.
So, I have a lot of tattoos.
Okay.
And a lot of people have asked me why I got tattoos and what the meaning of each one is and all this stuff. And I have a crazy story. I had growing up 4 pit bulls,
Okay.
big ones. And we didn't know at the time, but the breeder that we got them from didn't fully domesticate them.
Oh,
And we are
okay.
in a house with 4 kids. And this was during my apprenticeship. And I was like, I think 19 or 20 years old at the time. And my family, everybody had gone away for vacation. And I was home watching the animals and I was doing my apprenticeship. So I was going to school. So I couldn't really like leave to go when they were going. So I stayed home and watched the dogs. And one day we also had a teacup Yorkie. My mom loved that dog. So we had a teacup Yorkie and one day it like started barking crazy and just happened to like trigger all my dogs. And they went at him like out of nowhere. We've had these dogs for like 4 years.
Oh my goodness.
They just randomly went at him and I got involved. And we had this one dog. 2 of the dogs were actually domesticated, and it turns out they actually weren't doing anything. They were just kind of like very overwhelmed with the situation. But the
Hmm.
other 2, we got them from a different breeder that didn't domesticate the dogs properly. And they were like something crazy. I have no idea. But I'm trying to get this dog and I'm ripping one of them back. He was the youngest, but the biggest. And all of a sudden, I hear like a rip. And it's my damn arm, Chad.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know, the video's not great, so you probably can't see, but there's a scar right there. He ripped
Yeah.
open my entire arm and he tried to kill me.
Oh my
And
gosh.
let me just say that I have pit bulls now. I have 3 of them and I love them to death. So it was not a pit bull thing, but it was just a undomesticated dog thing. And he tried to take me out and
Jesus.
I had to choke him out. And I went
Damn.
to the hospital and they stitched my arm, 2 layers of stitches, and I couldn't move my arms for about 2 months.
Wow, that is crazy,
And
Lexi.
I had the ugliest scars on my arms because puncture wounds don't
Oh,
go away.
no. Yeah.
You definitely can see that one.
Yep.
And I have one up here too. But so this arm was completely mutilated. So, my best friend at the time was a tattoo artist. She's still a really good friend of mine. We just are
hmm
growing apart because we're just doing so much stuff.
Sure.
Um, but she was a tattoo artist on Ink Master, and I went to her,
Oh.
and her name's Ash Tattoos. She's awesome, but she's local for me. And
hmm
I said, I just need this covered up. I don't care what you do. This arm is just ugly as hell, and I need you to just work your magic. And now I have a whole arm sleeve.
Well, look, now that is taking a really shitty situation and making the best of it, girl. I like that.
Yeah. So I figured I'd share that with you because I actually have so many questions about people asking me about my tattoos, and I've just never done the story or talked about it or anything.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. No, that's like I said, that's taking a terrible situation and making the best out of it. And I will back you on the it's not a pit bull thing.
No, it's not.
My little niece was about 7 or 8 years old. It was a Jack Russell Terrier, and we had this Jack Russell Terrier for years. And she was just sitting on the floor, and it just came and attacked her, and she got 50, 60 stitches in her face up here, and I mean, just got her ridiculously good. And I mean, and once again, didn't see it coming, didn't just out of the blue. Like, so, now we did think, even when we got her, when we first got her, we thought like maybe she had been abused a bit, but I mean, we had her in the house for years, you know what I mean? And just,
Yeah.
just a freak accident. Like,
Yeah, you
so,
never know like what a dog has been through or where a dog came from or anything. Like I said, I have 3 pit bulls now and I love them to death. They are great with my son. We brought the 2 dogs that were the ones that were attacking me. We gave them back to the breeder cuz they were like on this giant farm, and that's when they told us they hadn't domesticated the damn animals properly. Like it was from like this crazy bloodline because my dad was really big into like good bloodline dogs, and that was just like
mhm.
his thing. So our pit bulls, the other 2 we still have. They're great dogs, never happened ever again, but it was just like a freak accident thing.
And that's where the badass sleeve came from. I dig it. I
Yep.
love it. That now, do you have any desire for any more tattoos?
So my leg is in the process. I think I have my whole shin is done and like a area of my thigh is done. I'm trying to finish that and then that'll be it. And then I have one on the back of my back. I have like I'm big into like Muay Thai. I haven't done it in a little while because electrical has really taken over my life. But I have a like protection symbol on my back.
Oh,
Yeah. But so other than that, I'm just gonna finish my leg and call it because it's
you just keep
expensive.
getting more interesting. Now you did Muay Thai for a while too. That would be something if you got back into. I'm sure people would love to see that aspect of your life.
Yeah, I have to find the time to do it. I was doing Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu right before I started posting on social media for electrical work.
Mhm.
I'm not a big fan of Jiu-Jitsu. My best friend is. She's really good at it. I hate sweaty people on me. I'd like them at a distance. I remember I was rolling one time and some girl's boobs were just like all over my face. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm never doing this shit again.
It's a hard out. It's a hard out. I'm
Hard
done.
no for me. So Muay Thai, you can fight at a distance. And I have a lot of power in my legs. So that's why I feel like I'm pretty good at it. I
Now,
gotta
were,
just
were
get
you
back in.
did you play athletics as a kid?
I did softball.
Okay.
But I wasn't big really into sports. My family was so busy that I didn't really have time after school to play. Like I said, my parents were working, nobody could really pick me up. So I did softball and I did basketball when I was in middle school into high school. But once I hit high school, I kind of stopped. I did, like I mentioned earlier, I did like personal training here and there a little bit. I was big into fitness at one point too. Like that happened with the dogs. Like the 2 months that I couldn't move my arms, it really like motivated me to get in the gym and like get into shape. And then I feel like that helped me with the trade a lot too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's one thing people don't think about, just lugging everything back and forth and all the stuff you have to carry. I mean, you can't be, you need to have some strength to make that happen without just wearing yourself out.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't been in the gym in a little while because, like I said, electrical is really taken over my life, but hopefully I get back into it too.
You got a lot of shit going on. You get a pass. You get a little pass, Lexi, until dad starts texting, getting on your ass, and then
he's going to text me right now.
Oh my goodness. Well, Lexi, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. I cannot wait to have you back on and catch up and talk about anything new going on. But it's been an absolute pleasure. And for you guys, make sure you're following Lexi. If you're not already, Lexi the Electrician. She is definitely worth it. And an amazing young lady. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chad. It was awesome being on here and getting to actually talk about stuff that people ask me on social media that I don't get a chance to answer. So.
Well, look, you've always got a home here, so keep those questions written down, and we'll go through them next time we connect.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Chad.
Take care, Lexi.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you so much for listening to the Old Boy Podcast. Please subscribe, like, set your notifications, whatever you got to do to make sure you're getting the latest episodes. Also, feel free to go back, whether it be YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Get some of the past episodes, check those out, and always feel free to check out our socials, Old Boy Podcast. Thank you so much.